The story begins with a flashback showing us the day of catastrophe. Out of nowhere suddenly some holes appeared in the sky. People started calling them dungeons, and through this dungeons monsters started coming out. Many people lost their lives that day. Our protagonist, Han Sung-yoon, also lost his parents that day. After that he made a pledge that he will kill all the monsters. The story then continues in the present, where we see that he is being kicked out of the Hunter's training hall, due to the fact that even after training for 7 years his status didn't increase at all. Even after all this he does not lose hope and decides to not give up. He then gets up and starts running to meet his instructor. He knocks the instructor's door. As soon as the instructor sees him, he asks him to go back, but Han Sung-yoon begs him to let him give the Hunter's exam. This makes the instructor mad. He abuses Han Sung-yoon and tells him that he would give him a 50% refund, but Han Sung-yoon refuses his proposal, saying he is not here for the money. As soon as he finished saying that, he gets punched in the face by the instructor and crashes near the garbage. The instructor looks at him with a smirk on his face, while our protagonist wishes to have a unique trait, like other people. Suddenly out of nowhere he hears a sound and a display pops up right in front of him. It seems that the Tower of Trials has recognized his will. Han Sung-yoon is shocked by hearing this sound and he wonders from where is this sound coming from. After that he starts to sink in water on the street, and after a second he starts drowning in the water, which seems to be very deep. But the water transports him somewhere, and just after that he hears a pop-up from the system once again, stating that the Tower of Trials has selected all the candidates from Earth. Then the system asks Han Sung-yoon to select the level of difficulty. Just like in a video game, it also notifies him that the rewards he will receive will be proportional to the chosen difficulty. As soon as he chooses the difficulty level, he hears the system sound stating, "You will enter the first floor of Tower of Trials," and all of his stats and status abnormalities will be restored. Then he finds himself in a desert, and soon the system provides him with a sword. The system announces that this is a test of survival, and the reward for completing the trial is a unique trait. Suddenly something starts to coming out from the ground below him. He hears the system sound again stating, "The tutorial will now begin." It is then that we see that Han Sung-yoon has chosen the difficulty hard. The earth begins to shake and a giant sand golem emerges from the ground. He is shocked to see the sand golem in front of him. His task is to survive against the sand golem for the allotted time, that is 10 minutes, and the penalty for losing will be his death. Han Sung-yoon starts running away from the sand golem, but surprisingly, despite being so heavy and bulky, the sand golem is pretty fast. Han Sung-yoon wonders how can he survive 10 minutes against the giant golem, but he made up his mind, and thinks of another way to survive. He knows that to stop the golem, he needs to destroy its core, but the problem is, their core usually is located at a place where it is very difficult to reach. He very smartly jumps off a cliff, and the golem falls down. Taking advantage of the situation, he jumps near the golem's core, and strikes his sword at the core of the golem with all his might, but to his surprise the golem's core is much more harder than he thinks. Despite him attacking with his full strength, the core does not break. There appears to be a little crack on the core because of his last attack. The golem starts standing up. Han Sung-yoon tries to attack once again with his sword, but to his surprise, he is caught by the golem instead. He shouts in pain, but he throws his sword, mustering all of his strength, at the golem's core, and he finally breaks it. The golem starts to crumble and finally breaks into tiny pieces. The system then congratulates him for clearing the first floor of Tower of Trials. He gets 1000 points and an unique trait as a reward for clearing the first floor. Suddenly he sees some dark red fog gathering near the deceased golem. As soon as he touched it, he hears a sound from the system saying, "Your unique trait, necromancy, has been activated." Then he gets to choose whether he wants to absorb the sand golem's spirit or not. As expected, he absorbs the spirit of the sand golem. All the dark red fog starts gathering around him, and then he absorbs all of it within him.